Dear Catholic lawyers, once again, the president of the National Association of the Catholic Lawyers, of course, my dear brother priest here, the members of the Consecrated Life, dear brothers and sisters, on behalf of the Catholic Bishop of Enugu, Most Reverend Callistus V.C. Onaga, I welcome you once again to the Catholic Diocese of Enugu on the occasion of the 65th Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference taking place in Enugu State. We have come together, just as I said earlier, to celebrate with the Eucharist our common identity and mission. Our identity as Catholic lawyers and our common mission as faithful ambassadors, messengers, and harbingers of justice and mercy. Not just ambassadors of justice or only ambassadors of mercy, but ambassadors, messengers, and harbingers of justice and mercy. Both of them, they must go together. As we all know, all those called to the bar may be lawyers, but not all those called to the bar are Christians, nay, Catholics. This homily, therefore, is an invitation to reevaluate our commitment to the Christian Catholic identity. To reevaluate our commitment to our Catholic identity. In fact, the bane of Christianity today, as we know or might know, is identity crisis. Identity crisis. We live in a Christian world where the Catholic is white in the morning and turns black at night. Visits the Blessed Sacrament during the day and an occultic group at night. Where the Christian has this statue of Our Lady at one corner of his room, and at the same time, at the other corner of the same room, a wrap of charm from one dibia, from one native doctor. I know what happened one day, the day I met one man and he told me, he said it in Igbo language. I was discussing with him and he said, "Father, I have something I got somewhere. But it's not charm, it's not to kill somebody. But that's what he said. That is charm. If somebody made an attempt to kill me, let that charm kill the person. That's a kind of protection, that it is only that one that he secured for himself, that he doesn't kill somebody or harm somebody. But when somebody wanted to harm him, then let the charm revenge, or take revenge. So, but should this be the case for us as Christians, nay, Catholics? It is just like what we could call the chameleon-like spirituality. The chameleon has no specific color. Wherever it finds itself, it is an adaptive feature that God gave the chameleon positively by way of protecting itself. But somebody created in the image and likeness of God shouldn't also behave that way, because you can't just turn red wherever you find red and green wherever you find green and everything. But that is the problem, the challenge we have as Christians today. The problem and the challenge of identity crisis. Identity crisis. Now, in the gospel of today, Jesus rebukes the scribes and Pharisees for their hypocritical way of life. He says, "Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, you who clean the outside of cup and dish and leave the inside full of extortion and intemperance. Matthew chapter 23, 25 to 26. What does that mean? Somebody who leaves the cup clean outside, but inside is very dirty. It also borders on identity. Because when you see that cup, you will take that cup to be a clean cup. But in actual fact, that cup is not clean. It is not clean. You can't call it a clean cup. So there is that identity crisis that Jesus was trying to rebuke. Inauthentic living. Inauthentic living. And that's what Jesus was trying to address. And you know, there is Pope Francis in one of his morning meditations in the chapel of Domus Sancta Marta. You know about it? He mentioned and described the three groups of people who were following Christ all through his ministry. He pointed out the crowd. The crowd, they all had different intentions. The crowd was looking for healing, was also trying to learn something from Christ because he was teaching with power and authority. We have also the second group who were really disciples. Disciples, people who were touched by Christ and whom Christ drew near to himself. And they wanted to be like Christ actually and act like him. They were really disciples, taking after the way of Christ. And then we have the third group, and that's where it concerns us here. The doctors of law. The doctors of law. And these doctors of law include Pharisees, scribes and Pharisees. Scribes and Pharisees. Maybe when Jesus was saying, "Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees," some of us may not know that he was saying, "Alas for you, lawyers. Alas for you, legal experts." Maybe they didn't know that what Christ was saying. Alas for you, legal experts. Because the scribes themselves were the Jewish legal experts. They were in fact, they made up the Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin is the legal body that legislates for the Jewish religion, for the Jews, you know. So, and this Sanhedrin, the highest body, lawmaking body, the legislators of the Jews, you know, as you can say, this are made up of the scribes. And you know what? They are also the interpreters of the law. They are also the interpreters of the law. Which means Jesus was really saying, "Alas for you legislators. Alas for you in judiciary." You know? That's what he was saying. And then who were the Pharisees? The Pharisees were those who were implementing the religious, you know, the religious Jewish laws. That's why they were following Christ very closely. And these people who were following Christ very closely, do you know what they were seeking for? They were not following Christ to take after him, but to accuse him and condemn him. They were following him to accuse him and condemn him. And that's why today Jesus is saying, you people leave what is most important, and most important, justice, mercy, good faith, and you keep on condemning people. You know, that's what Jesus was saying. And my dear ones in Christ, where are the people? Lawyers, everybody here, including me, I'm a canon lawyer. I'm a canon lawyer. So, that's what it is. Christ is talking to us.